up till the time I was about 8 years old. And then at that time, I started smoking when I was 8. I didn't have a whole lot of supervision when I was a kid, and started smoking when I was 8, and it was all downhill from there because I started, getting into all the other things you don't want your kids to get into. And by the time I was 32, I was like probably one of the most unhealthy people you ever knew. I smoked and drank and used drugs and ate nothing but junk food. And so at that point, somebody came into my life and turned things around for me. Someone changed my life. And from that point on, I got healthier and healthier. So my goal is to change your life. Okay? Is that all right with you? All right. I only have 45 minutes to do it in. It's a lot of stress. If not, did anybody ever hear the definition of what is it?
Doing the same thing over and expecting a different result.
That's right, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And actually, I think the American population is exactly insane because most of the Americans, they lose weight and then they eat and eat and eat and eat and then they go on a diet and lose weight and stuff so that you don't have to keep going in that vicious cycle. Now, the person that said that definition of insanity was Albert Einstein. I heard he's a pretty smart guy. And so if we can change one thing today, because when I was 32, and somebody came into my life and changed my life, I didn't think I'd be standing up here teaching people how to be healthy all over York County, if you'd asked me that then. And so one person changed one thing in my life, and that opened the door to things. And every time one new thing changed, then it opened the door for more new things. And I was able to grow to the point now where I'm at 55, the healthiest point I've ever been in my whole entire life. And so I don't teach from what I learned in school. I'm not. Every time you make this, it's different. And I do have the recipes for you, and a recipe's a guideline. And like I said, every time I make this, it's different. And so you can make it different every single time you make it. And so you never have to get tired of it. It's a stir fry, and I have a soup that you can throw together just for yourself. And basically every time you make it, you're cleaning out the recipes. You can be as much as you want. So we'll get started with the stir fry first. That's why I like to stay focused on whole food, because the closer your food is to its original state, the better it is for you. I guess you guys know that, right? So these are organic carrots. I washed them, but I didn't peel them. You don't have to buy organic carrots. They're not any less calories by any means, but I like to focus on chemical-free. Anything you want in these recipes. Before we do that, for the, what you think? So everybody here, hydrogenated fats are pretty much the worst thing on earth. As far your body needs fat to survive. Anybody that tells you that you need to be fat-ism if you don't consume some fat, and it's literally impossible to be fat-free in this day and age. But you do want to make sure you're eating the right fat. So the goal is on a scale of 0 to 10 to always do the best choice you can for the situation at hand. And think of, what do you think is the 0 on a scale of 0 to 10 of fat? Actually, hydrogenated fats are worse. That's a good lead into something, and that is that butter is animal fat. It's not the worst fat on earth. It has some value. So if you think about, if you ever eat something, let's say it's fat, olive oil, canola oil, safflower oil, fish oil, those are 10s. But then 0 is hydrogenated fats. It is like partially hydrogenated fats. And 2 might be butter or beef fats, which are all vegetable fats. And so like peanut oil and canola oil or sesame oil, they're all like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, if you're making, say, cookies, do you want to put sesame oil in them? No. But you do need to put oil in them to make them work. So, do you want to put, quote, hydrogenated fat, that white stuff in the can that's blue and red and white on the label on it begins with a C? Do you want to put that in it, or do you want to put real butter in it? Butter, right. So every time you have a choice to make, choose up. Cookies, choose butter. Or you can choose half butter and half canola oil. Always, if you think in your mind, imagine your scale of 0 to 10. Every time you're making a fat choice, always choose up. And fats are all created equal when it comes to one thing. And what's that? Calories, gram per gram. Hydrogenated calories, gram per gram. And so when you're in a weight loss program, yeah, you want to reduce calories. And you want to make sure every calorie you consume is the best it can be. Zucchini. All right, let's get cooking here. Now this burner is pretty hard to control, so if anybody sees it going out, y'all. All right. So normally what I do at home, make sure every snack, every meal per se, and I was looking at your guys' books over there. I see they have you eating 6 times a day, right? You got to eat 6 times a day to keep your metabolism up. But the key is to have every meal include fiber, carb, and protein. Because that way you burn more calories, it satiates you longer, and it gives you nutritional value, and it keeps your metabolism up. Think about this. Well, and as I was going to say, when I do this at home, like if I'm making breakfast or something, I'll put the oil in and then wipe it out with a paper towel. So keep the paper towel on the back of my stove. So after a while, you don't even have to put oil in. You just wipe out your pan with paper towel, and you're done. So you're getting the right oil. You're not getting a whole bunch of it. If you have a good skillet, you don't really need any oil. And it's going to be the good oil that you're going to put in there.
Did you put olive oil in?
That was olive oil. Yeah. I forgot what I was talking about, though. And that's the thing. If you eat a lot of something, if you have kids and they're eating grapes every day, you should be giving them organic because grapes are highly treated with pesticides. But if you only eat something once in a while, whether it's something that you only eat once in a while.
Tell the difference between sweet corn and yam.
There is no difference.
Oh.
Truly, once in a while in the grocery store, you'll see a real yam. It's like this big. It's all waxy. And it's just like tomatoes or apples or anything. A sweet potato and a yam in the American, like this kind of sweet potato, whether it's yellow or white or purple or what, it's just a sweet potato. A yam is a whole different variety of animal that you don't even see them in the United States.
Even though they call them yams sometimes.
It's just a regional thing. Did you ever lose your keys? I can't find my keys. 2 weeks ago, I lost my cell phone. Now, a lot of times I'll lose my cell phone, and then a couple days later it'll show up in another jacket. And the same thing happens with your keys. You lose them, and you know they're going to show up, but you can't find them. And then you can't find them. With my cell phone, it's like, I'm not even going to look at it anymore. But then you keep on thinking, where's the cell phone? Where's the cell phone? Get over it. It's lost. It'll come back by itself. Where's the cell phone? And so the same thing, you lose your keys. It's like you're always looking for them, even though you say, I'm not going to look for them. You keep on looking for them in the back of your mind, because when you lose something, you want it. And so when you sound for food. So you train yourself to say, I'm focused on good health. All right? Because when you're focused on health, you're going to find good health. You guys all know that just because it says whole wheat on the label, you know that? It has to be in the ingredients list. They're probably miles ahead of the average citizen. I eat rotini here, and the label, and they say, oh, cool, fat-free, whole wheat, calorie-free, whatever. And then they look at the nutritional analysis. I'm going to challenge you from now on to stop buying food for what's not in it, fat-free, sugar-free, carb-free, and start buying it for what's in it. Look at the ingredients list first. When you find a product that's chemical-free and the ingredients are all quality ingredients, then go to your nutritional analysis. Because if you're buying chemicals, you're not getting nutritional value calorie for calorie. So it doesn't matter if there's less calories if they're empty. Buy for the ingredients list first, nutritional analysis second, for what is in it, as opposed to what's not in it. All right, this recipe, I usually save some pasta water when I cook the pasta, but I forgot to. And I said you can make this recipe with anything you want. You can use it with Asian in seasoning, but I'm going to use some basil here. I've brought some fresh basil. You can use dry basil. Now, when you buy basil in the store, the best way to keep it fresh is to buy it in a root ball and don't touch it. As soon as your fingers touch those leaves, they're gone. They turn black. So if you want to keep this for a few days, you keep it in your counter or a cool, dry place, not necessarily really hot. But you pick your leaves off from down here without ever touching the leaves themselves, because the ones you touch are the ones that are going to be damaged. And so to extend the shelf life of your basil, you just nip off your leaves with other ones within the bunch. So the best way to get nicely is to don't touch the leaves, keep a nice root ball on your counter. So I thought we'd use a dry oregano, since I didn't have any fresh oregano. So you can substitute anytime. Like if your recipe calls for fresh and you want to use dry, use half as much. If your recipe calls for dry and you want to use fresh, use twice as much. The recipes, what's the difference between a chef and a baker? This guy's a smart one. Pastry chefs, until they start to decorate the cake, the process of creating the food, pastry chefs are scientists and culinary chefs are artists. Because when you're cooking with food, it's an art creation. Whereas when you're baking a cake, you must follow the recipe because it's all something or change something. You may very well change the science and create a different one. Whereas when you choose, you're not going to change the outcome. You're going to change the flavor, but you're not going to change scientific results. It's still going to be an edible stir fry. Where when you're baking, that's not always the case. So when you make this at home, you can add a lot more vegetables in. That's the key. Why do we want a lot of vegetables anyway? Fiber. Fiber. What does fiber do for you? It keeps you regular. That's a good answer. It fills you up. It speeds up your metabolism. It keeps you satisfied longer. It burns more calories while you're digesting your food. Okay? And so, when you eat a high-fiber diet, if this wasn't a store-bought stock, if I was using pasta water, I would put salt in. But since it's a store-bought stock. Now, stock is one of those kind of things that if you're buying it in the grocery store, you better be darn sure what you're buying. Look at the ingredients list, because half the time they don't even have chicken in it. And make sure you don't eat chemicals. Most store-bought stocks, the first 3 ingredients are caramel color, sugar, and salt. So if you want a good stock, make sure you buy either an organic, and just because it's organic, it doesn't free you up from reading the ingredients list. I think we got enough pepper here. And make sure you read the ingredients list. Forgot what I was going to say. And make sure there's real food in it, chemical-free. It's going to taste better. When you stop eating chemicals, you're going to have less food cravings. So this is whole wheat pasta. And anybody work in a factory? Anybody ever been in a factory? What's it like in there?
Dirty.
Dirty? Well, that wasn't the answer I was looking for, but it's a good one. Dusty and hot, right? And that's because when machines work, they make a lot of heat. Now, in the olden days, when they ground wheat, they put it between stones and they grind it. Well, since they started grinding wheat in factories, the heat from the steel grinders caused the oil. All vegetables have oil. All vegetables have fat. Remember, broccoli fat is probably a number 10 on your list. Not that you're going to find broccoli fat anywhere, but all vegetables have fat to some extent. So picking the right fat is the same story. Like whole wheat fat gets removed because it goes rancid in factory grinding. But when they take out the fat, in order to get it out, they have to take out the germ and the bran, which is your fiber and all your vitamins and minerals. The only thing that's left in white flour is sugar. It's called the endosperm. So when they have sugar left over to make bread out of, they figure, well, can't feed the kids peanut butter and jelly on sugar, can we? We better throw in some mayonnaise. So that's the story on whole wheat in a nutshell. Now we got to get cooking here, Deb. Get cooking. This is a stir fry. Now if you're making this at home for your family, you could, of course, you want to have protein. Like I said, every meal, every snack, when I call a meal, I'm talking 6 meals a day, never more than 3 hours apart. Think about this. Here, this is a good thing to think about too. From now on, we're going to say, I'm focused on health. I'm reducing weight. But you also might think about this. If I can remember what it was, it'll come back to me. Oh yeah, every time you go more than 3 hours without eating, you are beginning to store fat. And so by eating every 3 hours, small meals, every single meal would include fiber, protein, and carbs. So, like refried beans on celery has it all. Okay, it has fiber, it has carbs, beans are carb, and it has, and everything that's not a fat, everything that's not a fat, not a protein, is a carb. Okay, and it's just like anything else. I never do it. I've been cooking for 30 years, and I never bring a pot holder. I don't know what it is about pot holders, but I don't. So, put that right there. And now we're going to make my world famous soup. And I'm going to show you how you make it for one, and then I'll make a couple more for the rest of you. Alright, so usually if you really want to lose weight, you can use water. Matter of fact, we'll make this first one with water just to show you. Then I'll make another one, because you can change the ingredients any way you want. Don't go away hungry. Alright, so this is a great recipe for if you just got to cook a quick meal for yourself. Just like that. You just open the refrigerator and clean it out. If you have a food chopper, it's a little bit, you put some spices in. Should we use citrus basil? Should we use Greek? Or should we use chipotle? I recommend lots of spices, see. People are afraid of spices, but if you want your food to taste better and you don't want to use high fat, because fat adds flavor, most of the time fat doesn't really add flavor, it adds feel. Mouthfeel. And so if you're thinking it doesn't taste as good because you reduced the fat or you didn't use any fat, put more spices in it. And people who say that, healthy food doesn't taste good just never tried living healthy. Because healthy food tastes a lot. Greek? Well, nobody's going to volunteer. And how about, Dick, what should we use?
Pennsylvania Dutch. The most we know about spice is salt and pepper.
All right. So what you do here now, this is a meal for a person that is that is reducing their weight. And the goal here is to fill it up with vegetables. But you also want your protein. And so I buy these fish fillets. This happens to be tilapia, and they come in bags, and they're IQF. Does anybody know what IQF means? You guys are really food smart. So for one person, you just break it in half. You don't even have to thaw it out. Throw it in there. It's like Deb's meal on the fly. Just throw whatever you want in there, whatever you got in your refrigerator. Just keep throwing it in. Have a couple celery sticks off the top shelf of your refrigerator, because that's where you keep them for easy grabbing, right? You throw that in there, right? A healthy person eats a whole pound of carrots a week by themselves, a whole pound of sweet radishes a week by themselves. A healthy person will eat half a head of cabbage by themselves a week. So stay focused on what you want, not what you don't want. So this recipe is to fill up the person that's on a weight loss program so they can eat like they never ate before. Are we running out of heat here? You just keep throwing everything in there. Cook it till it's done. I'm going to make another one too, so that I have enough for the rest of you guys, besides just me. There we have it. Now this one we just use water, so I might put some salt and pepper in. Now this is the kind of meal that you can eat a ton of, because this is what you call, or let's use sea salt, negative calories. What does that mean anyway? Negative calories. That's what we want. That's the goal here, is to eat as many negative calorie meals as we can. This guy, he's not even in this program, and he knows all the answers. That's right. It's high fiber, and so it takes more calories to burn than you get out of it. But the point is, when you make sure that every single meal is protein, fiber, and carbs, you're going to get all your nutrients Your body's going to be satiated. You're eating every 3 hours. You're going to be full right up until the moment it's time to eat again. And you're going to be burning so many calories because your metabolism is going to go up. Everybody, right? And then grab whatever you have in there off the top shelf. And sometimes you could use, like sometimes I use tomato soup. Like if I don't buy like that stuff in the red can, mind you, because it's full of chemicals. But there are tomato soups out there that are not full of chemicals. So you could throw a half a can of soup. The least amount of calories is to do it with the water and the fish. You could use chicken, you could use turkey, anything you wanted to create the same dish. Different seasonings. So every single day, whatever you can grab out of your refrigerator. So we mentioned earlier that if it's not protein and it's not fat, what is it? Carb. That's right. So we don't want to be carb, ladies and gentlemen. No. Energy. Energy. If you're weak and tired and run down, first place to look is at your carbs. There's other things you can do too, but carbs are important for creating energy and keeping your metabolism up. No energy, no metabolism, okay? And so it's all about that scale of 0 to 10. What's the worst carb on earth? What do you think? No. It's a good answer, but it's not quite right. High fructose corn syrup, exactly. And the corn syrup is the same thing as hydrogenated fats in the sugar world. It's manufactured. It's not a natural situation. See, a hydrogenated fat, they take all those fats that are like 4, 5, 6, 7, corn oil, the coconut oil, the sesame oil, all those oils that occur naturally at room temperature. Corn oil, if you take a sesame seed and squeeze it, the oil's coming right out of it. And so all those oils are naturally a liquid at room temperature. And so some smart guy or lady has decided to shoot it up with extra hydrogen and create a solid. And our body cannot undo that solid. And so high fructose corn syrup is the same thing as in the carb world. It's 2 sugars chemically combined. Both of them happen to be corn sugars that are chemically combined, and your body can't undo that manufactured process that some smart person has figured out to put together. So 0, high fructose corn syrup. 10, broccoli sugar. But do you ever see broccoli sugar? Probably not. How about rice sugar? Brown rice sugar. Brown whole wheat flour. So if you take everything else in between, 0 is hydrogenated or high fructose corn syrup. 1 might be white sugar. 2 might be brown sugar. 3 might be honey and maple syrup. And then you move up the ladder until you get to whole wheat bread and then brown rice. And you keep going up the ladder to all the rest of the carbs. So if you're making pecan pie, are you going to put brown rice in it for a sweetener? No. But could you put honey instead of high fructose corn syrup? If you buy one, I guarantee you it's high fructose corn syrup. So if you make one with white sugar, you're 1 step better than 0. And if you make one with honey, you're 2 steps better than 0. So life's about choices. Have I changed your life yet? And pick on a scale of 0 to 10, every choice you make, pick up. If you do that, you will be healthy for it. You're never going to be perfect, but if you visualize your scale on a regular basis every day for every choice you make, you're going to be healthier on a regular basis because of it. I didn't even use my food chopper, did I? So this is dinner here for one person. You think the fish is done yet? Did I put fish in? Oh, yeah. Dinner for... Well, the point is, it's probably 200 calories. So if you want to eat something and you want to be full, mix yourself up a batch of soup. It takes 10 minutes. And tomorrow it could have tomatoes in it. Today it could have. This is like the lowest fat version. If you chose to use stock, it would be a couple more calories. Our lowest calorie version. Calories for calories are the same. It doesn't matter if they're carb calories or fat calories or protein calories. It's a calorie, it's a calorie. And so you're always eating calories. Your body wants more sooner. Make every calorie count the best you can. So that is a meal that you could eat and fill yourself right up. You have another class for that. I put a teeny weeny little bit of Parmesan cheese in here. If you buy fresh Parmesan cheese instead of the canned kind, you can use less because it tastes better. If you get the really expensive stuff, I'm talking $13 a half pound or something like that, all you need is a sliver. Like this stuff here, you could grate this up, but if you had that fresh stuff that costs $13 a pound, a couple slivers like this is going to put so much flavor onto a plate of food like that. And you know, you're worth it. And it'll last forever, you know.
That was what I wanted. How long does that, when you buy the cheese like that, how long is it?
I've had this particular hunk of cheese in my refrigerator probably for 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
See,
I don't keep months. This cheese is already probably a couple years old before you even buy it.
Right.
So as long as you keep it wrapped with this something right on the surface, like paper or whatever, then it's going to keep for months. This recipe here is probably, when you make it the way we just made it just now, less than, I'm sure, I mean, I'm not a scientist kind of person, but I'm going to say 200 to 250 calories. And it is going to fill you up. Oh, it's yummy.
That's what I have. It can fill you up, but it can't be good sometimes.
We'll let you be the first one to try it, okay?
You know how honest I am?
All right, well, we have little plates. We're going to let you try it, okay? We have a lot of people here. I'm making another batch. Now, this one has the tomato and the stock in it. This one was just water. But again, you can make these recipes with chicken. I recommend you guys stick, regardless of whether you're on a weight reduction program or not, everybody should stick predominantly to egg whites, chicken, turkey. Turkey is one of your top 12 superfoods. The more superfoods, living right is not about eliminating everything. It's about choosing the right things. And choosing your superfoods is one of the keys to fighting off disease and having a strong living program. This is called WOW! You're really lucky. You have a high metabolism. And so when you have, listen, these are 8 CDs and 2 DVDs, and it's all about increasing your metabolism, all the things we've been talking about. Increasing metabolism, eating right, making the right choices, not eliminating everything, but picking the right ones so that you're getting value for value, calorie for calorie, the best food choices you can. That's how you stay healthy. Not about, oh, weeny little, so I lose weight. No, it's about picking things like how about a whole cup of yogurt and a half a cup of fruit with maybe some protein powder mixed in it. That is a meal that's going to satisfy you for 3 hours so you're ready.